The Roman war machine conquered continents. Its legions crushed empires, its gladius stabbed through rebellion after rebellion. But in the rocky hills of ancient Hispania, something stopped them cold. A sword. Not Roman, not standard, and not at all expected. Carved through shields and shattered confidence. It wasn't just brutal, it was beautiful. And no matter how hard Rome tried, it couldn't copy it. This is the story of the falcata, the curved blade that terrified legionaries and defied the empire. Chapter 1. Into the mountains of Hispania. The Roman legions had seen it all. Gauls, Greeks, Numidians, and they had beaten them all too, with order, with steel, with the gladius. But Hispania was different. The terrain itself was a nightmare. Not open fields, but jagged cliffs and narrow mountain passes. Ambush country, the perfect battlefield for warriors who didn't fight fair, and didn't care to. Rome expected to march in and take control, just like always. They brought their testudo formation, their eagle standards, and their rigid discipline. But none of that helped when the Celtiberians came charging out of the rocks. These weren't disorganized hill tribes. They were iron-hard fighters with decades of experience resisting invasion from Carthage and now from Rome. And in their hands, they carried something that changed everything: the falcata. At first glance, it looked odd. A single-edged sword, curved forward like a sickle. Shorter than the Roman gladius, but heavier at the tip. It didn't stab the way Roman swords did, it cleaved. And when a Roman shield caught the edge of a falcata, it wasn't just pushed back, it was split. The first encounters were brutal. Legions cut down not by superior numbers, but by superior weapons, in the hands of warriors who knew how to use them. Shield arms broken, breastplates dented, confidence shattered. Rome was used to winning. But against the falcata, they weren't even sure how to fight. Chapter 2. The blade that broke shields. To understand why the falcata was so terrifying, you have to understand how it worked. It wasn't a wide battlefield weapon like a spear or a longsword. It was made for close combat, for one-on-one brutality in tight spaces. Its shape did most of the work. The forward curve concentrated all the weight near the tip, turning it into a hatchet-like blade. With a downward chop, it could split helmets, shields, and bones in one motion. But it wasn't just a chopper. The edge ran down the inside curve, making it perfect for slashing too. And if needed, the point was strong enough for thrusts. It was brutal, efficient, surgical. Legionaries trained to block gladius stabs found their defenses useless. The falcata came down from above, from the side, from unexpected angles. Roman shields, designed for jabs and pushes, weren't built for that kind of force. The wood cracked, the metal boss crumpled, and the man behind it was left exposed. There are records, like those by Livy, describing how Roman soldiers feared facing Iberian warriors, not just because of their fighting style, but because of what they held in their hands. The falcata wasn't just a sword, it was a message. You are not safe behind your shield. You are not stronger just because you're Roman. This is our land, and you don't belong here. It was psychological warfare, sharp-edged, forged in fire, and wielded with fury. Rome took note, and they were scared. Chapter 3. The Smith's Secret. You'd think that with all their resources, the Romans would just copy the falcata and move on. After all, Rome was famous for adapting the best parts of its enemies' cultures. They took Greek tactics, Carthaginian ships, Persian armor, but the falcata, they couldn't do it. Part of the reason was the craftsmanship. Iberian blacksmiths were masters. Some historians believe they used early forms of pattern welding, folding different types of iron together to create a blade that was both flexible and deadly sharp. Roman swords at the time were often made from softer iron or bronze, strong enough, but not exceptional. The falcata was exceptional. Forging one took time, care, skill. It wasn't just about shape, it was about balance. The falcata had a perfect center of gravity. It moved with its wielder like an extension of the arm. Roman weapons were standardized, mass-produced for armies. The falcata, each one was unique. And there was another reason Rome didn't adopt it. It didn't fit the Roman way of war. Roman legions fought in tight formations. Shoulder to shoulder, shields locked, swords stabbing forward in a mechanical rhythm. The gladius worked perfectly in that system. Short, straight, designed for thrusts and tight control. The falcata was a fighter's weapon, meant for loose, aggressive combat, sprinting from rocks, ducking under spears, and striking fast. It was perfect for guerrilla warfare, not for the battlefield drills Rome loved. So even as Roman commanders admired it, they knew it couldn't replace the gladius. But it still haunted their troops. Every time a legion entered Iberian hills, the veterans would warn the new recruits, "Watch for the blade that bends." And they meant the falcata. Chapter 4. Blood in the Valleys. Rome eventually conquered Hispania, but it took them nearly 200 years. Not because of armies, but because of fighters like the Lusitanians and Celtiberians, and because of weapons like the falcata. The most feared leader of all was Viriathus, a former shepherd turned rebel general. Using hit-and-run tactics and the brutal efficiency of the falcata, he humiliated Rome for years. His men attacked supply lines, ambushed patrols, and vanished into the hills. Every Roman who died by falcata edge added to his legend. Even after Viriathus was assassinated by his own allies bribed by Rome, the sword didn't disappear. It kept showing up, sometimes in Roman hands, taken from fallen enemies, a rare prize, a reminder. Roman smiths tried to copy the design, but the results were inconsistent. Some blades bent, others cracked. The forging techniques were lost to them. So instead, Rome shifted its focus. They built better gladii, they improved their own ironwork, but they never quite recreated the falcata. Not in shape, not in spirit. And the fear remained. Imagine a young Roman legionary, standing in the morning mist, his shield raised, sweat beading under his helmet. The rustling comes first, then the war cry, and suddenly from the rocks a figure charges, wild-eyed with a curved sword flashing in the sun. He raises his shield, and it splits. That's not a story. That's what really happened. Over and over again. Extended chapter, The Blade That Refused to Die. Even after the Roman conquest, the falcata never truly disappeared. Its design survived in local traditions. Blacksmiths still forged them in secret, passed down through generations. You can see echoes of it in later weapons across Europe, especially in Iberia. Curved short swords, cleaver-like blades, even elements of machetes all whisper of the falcata. And the myth? That only grew. In modern Spain, the falcata is a national symbol, not just of rebellion, but of craftsmanship, of resistance, of pride. Historians debate whether it was truly uncopyable. Maybe Rome could have mass-produced a version if they really tried. Maybe they chose not to because it didn't suit their tactics. But one thing's certain. No Roman soldier forgot the first time he saw one swing. They saw shields crack like clay pots. They saw their comrades drop with one blow. They saw a sword that didn't fight fair, but fought well. The falcata was a weapon of ambushes, of terrain, of defiance. It wasn't made for empire. It was made to stop empires. And for a while, it did. Rome eventually built roads, cities, and fortresses across Hispania, but it had to earn every inch. In blood, in time, in fear. Because even the mightiest empire can be humbled by a single blade, perfectly made and perfectly used. The Roman Empire wrote history with stone, law, and steel. But every empire has its blind spots, places where its strength doesn't work and its order breaks down. For Rome, that place was Hispania. And that weakness? It wasn't a nation or an army. It was a sword. The falcata wasn't just a weapon. It was a rebellion in iron, a curve that broke straight lines. A tool made not to follow rules, but to shatter them. And it did. Rome never copied it. Not because they couldn't, but because deep down, they feared it. Because in the right hands, the falcata didn't just kill, it defied.